Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. I'm John Carroll in for Maya Trabulsi. San Diego began rolling out new trash bins today, part of the city's efforts to start charging for trash collection. KPBS video journalist Matthew Bowler got a look at the high-tech receptacles that will eventually go out to more than 200,000 households.
We are standing in my district, but this week's inaugural rollout of bins is happening in neighborhoods across the city.
San Diego City Council President Joe LaCava was in La Jolla showing off the first set of new trash bins for San Diegans. LaCava says the passing of Measure B and charging San Diegans for trash collection is what made getting the new bins possible.
This is the first on-the-ground step as we modernize collection, improve and increase city services, and make sure we are using 21st century methods to track our work and ensure we only collect from those that are qualified.
225,000 San Diego households are eligible for the new bins, according to the city. The city says that 3/4 of trash cans currently in use are more than 20 years old, and the new cans have more features making collection safer and easier. Kirby Brady from Environmental Services shows off some of the new bins. They have better signage, are easier to write your address on, and they have radio frequency identification, or RFID chips, hidden in the handle.
There is the scannable tag that we talk about, the RFID. That's actually located, it's hidden inside of the handle.
RFID chips will make it possible for trash trucks to scan and confirm the correct can is at the correct house. The new bins are being handed out today. If you want to see when your new trash bin is scheduled to arrive, go to sandiego.gov/trash.
Deliveries will happen on residents' regular trash collection days, and our crews will remove the old black containers that same day.
And the old bins won't go to waste. They are being recycled into the new bins,
helping ensure that we close the loop on sustainability.
Matthew Bowler, KPBS News.
Tonight, the showers return to us. Temperatures back into the mid-60s for lows. This is part of a much bigger system that is going to be having impacts all across our state, including into the Sierra, where we'll be talking about the snow, but we will be dealing with the showers. I'll break down that full forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law a bill creating a state bureau for descendants of American slavery. KPBS reporter Katie Hyson spoke with the bill's author, San Diego's State Senator Akilah Weber Pearson, about what's next.
It is a struggle. It is a journey that those who are descendants of American slavery have been fighting for ever since emancipation.
It took more than a century and a half since emancipation for a state to begin an official process toward comprehensive reparations. But Senator Akilah Weber Pearson says once California got the ball rolling, it rolled fast. The state established the Reparations Task Force in 2020. It issued more than 100 recommendations in 2023. Now, California will create the Bureau. Weber Pearson called it a home base for running the state's reparations programs. The first step is for the governor to select a director. She anticipates that will take 6 months to a year.
We want to ensure that the person that is selected, that the governor selects, really understands the role, their historic role, and that they have a true vision for where the Bureau will go and how it will move.
The legislature estimated the Bureau will cost tens to hundreds of millions of dollars to operate, at a time when California is running a budget deficit in the billions. Weber Pearson says California can't afford not to do it.
And so we all live together. We all work together. If we don't all rise, then we will all fall. And so this is something that we cannot continue to ignore.
Katie Heisen, KPBS News.
Thousands of Kaiser nurses are expected to start striking tomorrow, and later this week, Sharp nurses will hold their own informational picket. KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen has more on their demands.
We're here at the Kaiser Hospital in Mission Gorge, where it's business as usual, but starting tomorrow, 31,000 Kaiser nurses here in California and Hawaii will be on strike.
This carpet greed has got to go, hey, hey!
The union says they've been raising the alarm on the issue of patient care, staffing shortages, and pay for years. But they say Kaiser isn't budging. So it's time to draw a line in the sand.
For something as important as patient safety, if your family's in the hospital, if you're in the hospital, a child's in the hospital, you need to have the resources necessary to provide the absolute world-class top care. And right now, we're not there.
Kaiser says its latest offer includes generous wage increases that are already above market rate, and a strike is not necessary. It will only disrupt patient care. Polikoff says the issue they face isn't unique to Kaiser. On Wednesday, Sharp nurses will be doing what is known as an information picket. That means they just want the public to know the conditions they're working under. Sharp nurses say they are paid below market rate and many struggle to support themselves and their families. And they also say Sharp's sick leave policy puts both patients and nurses at risk.
They're constantly saying, well, we don't know what our staffing will look like, so we can't let people be off, even when they request it far in advance. But when there's a sick call, they expect everybody to just either call out sick and be disciplined if they don't have enough sick time, or they have to come to work sick.
Sharp says it remains committed to a fair and responsible contract for its nurses. Sharp nurses will be on the picket line Wednesday through Friday. Kaiser nurses will be on strike through Sunday. Kaiser says if you have an appointment tomorrow, don't cancel it. They will contact you for any rescheduling. In Mission Gorge, Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
It took more than 2 years, but today Hamas released the 20 remaining living hostages following the October 7th, 2023 attack. Israel also released Palestinian prisoners under a U.S. brokered ceasefire deal. As Maribel Gonzalez reports, President Trump calls it the dawn of a new Middle East.
Emotional reunions as the final 20 hostages held by Hamas were reunited with their families across Israel. People cheered in Tel Aviv celebrating this milestone moment. Under a U.S. brokered ceasefire deal, hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees were met with large crowds as they also reunited with their relatives in the West Bank. President Donald Trump declared a dawn of a new Middle East.
This deal, this once-in-a-lifetime deal, nobody's ever seen anything like what's happening today.
On Monday, photos released by the Israeli Prime Minister's office show a freed hostage playing with his children for the first time in 2 years. Families say they never stopped fighting for the release of their loved ones.
Keep sharing your stories to policymakers. Keep telling us what do you think needs to happen, and give us ideas on how we can break the deadlock. And we kept doing that. They kept open the White House for us, and President Trump has done it.
President Trump said that phase 2 of his 20-point ceasefire plan to end the war between Israel and Hamas has already started as he meets with world leaders in Egypt for a summit on Gaza's future and peace in the Middle East.
If you look at Gaza, it needs a lot of cleanup.
This is clearly, in my mind, I think in the mind of everyone in this room, probably one of the most important days for world peace in 50 years.
Maribel Gonzalez, KPBS News.
I'm Amna Navaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, joyful and tearful reunions after Israeli hostages and Palestinian detainees are released. It's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
If you have a home improvement project you've been putting off, you may want to think about tackling it before the end of the year. That's because several energy upgrades that qualify for a federal tax break are ending. Jen Sullivan explains the upgrades that qualify for those federal tax credits and how to claim them on your 2025 taxes.
If you've made any energy-saving upgrades to your primary home this year, you may qualify for a tax credit that could save you a few $1,000s. The Energy Efficient Home Improvement Credit allows you to claim up to $3,200 for certain upgrades, but that tax break expires December 31st.
Now is the time for homeowners to take advantage of those and understand what home energy efficiency projects they need to tackle.
Sarah Riley works at the home services company Front Door. She says working with a contractor can help you figure out which upgrades qualify. This tax credit is broken into two parts. First, a maximum credit of $1,200 for certain energy-efficient home improvements like HVACs, insulation, and limits on exterior doors and windows. They have to be Energy Star certified. The second credit is up to $2,000 for certain heat pumps, water heaters, and biomass stoves and boilers. Riley says HVAC systems should be replaced around every 10 years.
We know from the U.S. Department of Energy that a high-efficiency HVAC unit can save households up to 20% of their annual energy bills.
To receive the tax credit, you have to fill out the IRS tax form 5695.
Make sure you have it installed and paid for by the end of the year.
Tax consulting specialist Travis Belton says save your receipts or get a certificate of completion. You don't need to send them into the IRS, but keep them for your records. And keep in mind, you can't get back more on the credit than you owe in taxes.
Not all the credits are refundable, though, so you may be able to reduce your tax liability, but not necessarily get the full money back.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
The County of San Diego is hosting 2 events this week where anyone can get a free flu shot. Up to 200 doses of flu vaccines will be available at each event. The first is tomorrow from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Casa de Oro County Library Branch in Spring Valley. The second is Thursday from noon to 5 p.m. at the Oak Park County Library Branch in San Diego. No appointment is needed. October is Menopause Awareness Month. Until recently, menopause and the time just before it, called perimenopause, wasn't talked about much. But experts say awareness can help people through this natural part of life. Mandy Gaither shares 5 facts from an OB-GYN.
It's a natural part of aging. Menopause is officially reached when there's been 12 months without a menstrual cycle and no other underlying medical condition.
Every woman who starts having a period is going to go through menopause.
OB-GYN Dr. Sujatha Reddy says the first thing to know about this phase in life is that it's different for every woman. She says the transition often begins between ages 45 and 58 in a time called perimenopause, with the average age being around 52 years old.
The ovaries stop ovulating, stop making hormone, and it's that drop or change in hormones that can really lead to symptoms that for some women can really affect your day-to-day life.
Next, some of those symptoms can include hot flashes, night sweats, reduced bladder control, weight gain, irritability, joint pain, and dry skin. Third, menopause increases risk for some health problems, including heart disease and bone loss.
For patients who are in their mid-50s and their periods have stopped, that's when I try to get a baseline bone density scan to see where we're starting, because as your estrogen stays low, you can lose more bone.
Fourth, self-care can help ease the burden of symptoms. That includes regular exercise, getting good quality sleep, and maintaining a healthy weight. Reddy says limiting caffeine and alcohol may also make a difference. And finally, there are hormonal and non-hormonal treatments available.
Don't suffer. Come to your healthcare provider and have a conversation.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
On this Columbus Day, also known as Indigenous Peoples Day, we're launching a brand new feature on KPBS. Starting tonight, I'll be bringing you a museum a month. For the first installment, I traveled east of San Diego to visit a place that chronicles the journey of some of the first people to live in what is now San Diego County. If you hear the name Barona, you probably picture this. The Barona Resort and Casino on the Barona Reservation, about 27 miles east of San Diego. But a little more than a mile down Wildcat Canyon Road, you find this, the Barona Cultural Center and Museum. And if you want to know what this place represents, what it means to the people here, Chairman of the Barona Band of Mission Indians, Raymond Welch, is your man. Welch says this made this possible.
Because of our successful business, we've been able to go back and start recreating our history or learning about our history. A lot of it was lost, so it was oral history.
There are the type of museum quality displays you'd expect to find, but those share space with contributions from a very young class of curators, the children of Barona. Here is a multi-layered map depicting different times in the history of the people here.
In 2023, I think it was the 7th or 8th grade that made it. But pre-contact, this is where our people were. This is pelts. I believe it's a rabbit pelt. So that's what we traded with, rabbits. And that's all of us as contact. As everything contact comes in with the Europeans. See, Mexico, this is when Mexico was California.
Right.
Yeah. And then this is today.
The stories of Native American people being pushed off their ancestral lands and onto reservations are a tragic part of American history, and the Barona people have their own story of being uprooted. This is where they, along with the Viejas tribe, had lived since 1891. But in 1932, Congress allowed the city of San Diego to forcibly purchase the land to satisfy the need for water and flood control in the growing city. It is now the El Capitan Reservoir. That year, the Viejas Band bought the land they now occupy, as did the Barona Band. Barona was originally a Spanish land grant ranch.
So it came up for auction, and we were able to buy it off auction for $75,000.
Over Welch's right shoulder, you can see the picture of a man, a person well known to fans of San Diego architecture, Irving Gill. You may know he designed many of San Diego's best-known buildings, including the Marston House in Balboa Park and the Ellen Browning Scripps residence, now the Museum of Contemporary Art. Welch says when Gill learned of the move to the Barona Ranch, he expressed interest in designing homes for the Barona people, which members of the tribe then built, along with a church. That was the first structure to go up on their new land.
It was such a focal point for our members at the time to have the church. And it was very important for them to that be the very first building they built.
It's not just what they built, but how they built it. This is the mold they used to make the bricks that went into the church and the houses. Welch says a few of the original houses still exist to this day. There's more to the Barona Cultural Center and Museum than just an indoor experience. Out back here, next to the Barona School, you find this Native American plant garden. These plants have been important to the people here for thousands of years. Plants that provide food, tools, and medicine. And just like inside, the primary focus out here is on making sure the history of the Barona people lives on through the generations.
It's important because it teaches the kids of what was here and what our people used them for. I mean, most of the stuff is made for medicine, or that they would use in their daily lives. It gives you a sense of identity of who you are and who your people were and where you came. And it's very important to know that as you grow older and you learn.
If you're thinking about a getaway to Barona, you might want to think about more than the glitz and glam of this place and cast your sights just down the road to a place where you can learn about a people who have been here for thousands of years. And today, Raymond Welch has a word for how the 643 members of this tribe are doing. It's more than surviving.
We're thriving.
The Barona Cultural Center and Museum is located at 1095 Barona Road, that is just off of Wildcat Canyon Road. It's open Wednesday through Friday from noon to 5 and Saturday from 10 in the morning until 4 p.m. It is free. Highly recommend it. Today, the U.S. Navy celebrates its 250th birthday. It was on October 13th, 1775, that the Continental Congress greenlighted the first U.S. naval force. At the time of its inception, the Continental Navy had just 2 ships, and a crew of 80 men. Today, San Diego County is home to more than 100,000 active duty Naval Service members and Marines. Over the weekend in San Francisco, Fleet Week celebrations went ahead despite the government shutdown. But as Cornell Barnard shows us, the event was a little different this year.
The Fleet Week Air Show taking flight over San Francisco Bay with planes doing their thing. The Royal Canadian Air Force's Snowbirds headlining the show. The government shutdown is preventing U.S. military from taking part.
That was very nice of the Canadians to send their air team.
It's why Canada's national anthem was played before the Star-Spangled Banner.
That's good. We like Canadians. God bless them.
That's great, but I love the Blue Angels.
No Blue Angels flying this year. It might be why parts of the Marina Green were looking pretty sparse.
It's completely empty. This whole field has military exhibits from every branch of the U.S. military every year, and right now it's an empty field and there's not any people here.
We still chose to come down, and we're looking forward to the Canadian Snowbirds.
Ingrid Ream from Reno is here with her family. How does this crowd compare to last year?
Oh my gosh, so different. I mean, we actually found parking right there by the marina.
The U.S. Navy and Marine Corps still have a small presence here despite the shutdown. These are local recruiters who didn't have to travel. No Blue Angels, but you're still selling merch.
No Blue Angels, but we still here selling merchandise.
If you can't watch the Blue Angels fly, you can always pick up a jacket or a toy plane.
These here are hot tomatoes, right? These are hot off the press, I mean. These are $20, and usually we have to call and order more and more and more.
The showers working into our area means things are turning wet and maybe even a thunderstorm possible as we head in through tomorrow. So we'll be talking about that rain working its way on through right as we go throughout the day tomorrow. Cool and windy too while this storm system comes in, but then we'll have a warmer, drier pattern as we move through the later part of the week. So things will change pretty quickly for us. Right now, again, watching those showers working their way in, you can see some of the rain in Oceanside, 59 for the low. Again, 63 as you look towards the city, and Mount Laguna coming in at 41 for that low. As we head into tomorrow, we're only topping out in the mid-40s in Mount Laguna, but look at all this moisture. It's going to be most prominent for those coastal locations. So as you get towards the Santa Ana Mountains, they could actually pick up 1 inch or more in the Santa Ana Mountains, but the farther southeast you go, the more likely you'll see less than 1/10 of an inch of rain. So that's kind of the divide across our county and our region. 68 the high as we head through tomorrow. This is what future radar and satellite shows us. Again, all of this moisture really pumping into California continues to drive its way south. For Los Angeles, it's an early morning threat as we go through tomorrow morning, and it's some heavy rain. So I think the morning commute there, quite a bit of a mess. And as we continue to watch it work into our area, you'll find more of those showers very persistent on our northwestern locations. It fizzles out as we go through the middle of the day, working towards the city and beyond. So that's why some of those desert locations for us may stay completely dry as we look at some of the interior parts of our area. Beyond that, then, we will see those winds eventually quiet down as we step into Wednesday. And Wednesday becomes a pleasant day, temperatures back into the mid-70s. But if you are at the coast, it does stay a little bit showery, rain likely, and keeping things cool. Most of us probably picking up 1/2 an inch or less. But like I said, some of those upslopes in the mountain areas, especially the northern part of the region, could pick up a little bit more. Temperatures climbing through the 70s, back to the 80s for inland communities as we head throughout the week towards the weekend. Dry and bright here for most mountain communities. Keep in mind, it is going to be a windy, cool pattern, though, as we go through the next couple of hours until then. And for the upcoming days, we will see in the desert communities a largely dry pattern with the extra clouds just for tomorrow. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Melissa Constancer.
The holidays are right around the corner, and so are the expenses. American shoppers are now in decision mode regarding how much to spend on travel, gifts, and decorations. Ivan Rodriguez has a look at what we can expect this year.
The holiday season is fast approaching, but with the murky economic picture, many may not be in the spending spirit.
People are saying that they're pulling back around the holidays. I take it with a bit of a grain of salt, to be honest, just because there's been a big disconnect this year between what people say and what they do.
In a new survey from Bankrate, 41% of respondents say they're concerned holiday gifts will be more expensive this year, and roughly a third of shoppers plan to take on debt. Bankrate's Ted Rossman says the survey also found fewer people are planning to travel during the period between Thanksgiving and New Year's.
We see that only 21% of U.S. adults are planning holiday travel this year. Last year, it was 27%. And I'm surprised that this is going down just because through September, the TSA has actually processed more air travelers this year than last year per day.
For those who are planning to go home for the holidays, Clint Henderson with the Points Guide travel platform says there's still time to book.
We're about to enter the perfect booking window when prices are not too high, not too low. If you book too early for the holidays, you're going to pay a premium. And also, if you book starting after around Halloween, prices are going to start going up from there.
When it's time to travel, be prepared. Have your airlines app on your phone to track your plane and rebook if necessary.
Keep informed, keep up with the news. You know, you really want to be an informed consumer during any kind of intemperate weather or other government problems or even freaks of nature.
In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. For the first time, renewable energy has overtaken coal as the primary source of electricity around the world. NPR's Morning Edition will have the details from a new report indicating a shift in the global reliance on fossil fuels. And KPBS Midday Edition is talking to journalist Emily Baker White about her new book, Every Screen on the Planet, which explores TikTok's political power. And of course, you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I'm John Carroll. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Previs Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.